But right now, I want to get to Michael Snyder because he's got a lot to talk about with movies and TV shows, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's keeping warm and dry. Kim, Albert, and of course, Mark in absentia. I'm broadcasting from my own private island, Albert, not owned by any sovereign nation but me.
Does it have a beach?
Well, in my mind, it does.
All right.
You know, these are tough.
Possibly cocktails? I don't know.
Maybe later. 5 p.m. is usually cocktail hour. But, during stressful times, I like to recall the immortal words of George Clinton, free your mind and your ass will follow. And that's kind of how I look at things. By the way, speaking of stressful times, regarding the sedition panda, I was really excited to see that guy convicted for impersonating a panda without a legal bamboo ballot. I mean, pandas love to eat bamboo, and honestly, we need more crackdowns against unlicensed furries. That really, the furry community was up in arms over sedition panda.
That's not fake. That's real.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, kind of. It's San Francisco is like a wonderland, isn't it? I mean, I was walking down to my local cafe a couple days ago, not the Royal Ground, although I love the Royal Ground. I was heading for fueling station, and I was startled as a garbage truck came through the intersection of Polk and Union, hit a pothole with a massive bang, and triggered the car alarms of 3 autos in back-to-back parking spaces.
There's never been anything like this.
The truck kept moving down Polk Street, and the car alarms, they kept bleeding in this loud mechanical 3-part harmony, and I could still clearly hear it from my destination 3 blocks away. It's the music of the city.
Indeed.
You gotta love that. And one quick note before we get to movie reviews.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, tonight at the Oasis, south of Market, Adriana Roberts, the ever glamorous mistress of booty mashup, which is San Francisco's groundbreaking and highly influential mashup party, will present Britney versus Taylor, an epic musical battle of the blondes with mashup recordings.
Not to be missed. No.
Featuring the songs of Britney Spears and Taylor Swift, spun by Adriana, Jupiter Gatling, and who knows who else. And there will be live lip sync performances by The Monster Show. And I promise you that the GOP would condemn this if they knew about it. I just know they would.
Let's not tell them. Shh. No, don't.
Mum's the word. Mum's the word. Shall we get to movies, Kim McAllister?
Yes, let's do it. Although Britney versus Taylor, I don't know. I think there's some more to talk about there. But yeah, let's move on because we never have enough time with you. So your first movie, I think, was Creed 3. Yeah, well,
Lordy, what hath Stallone wrought? It's yet another boxing film franchise, now on its 3rd installment. The beloved Rocky movies, including the Oscar-winning first one, made Sylvester Stallone a star as the working-class Philly pugilist Rocky Balboa, who fights his way into the heavyweight championship match. And decades later, after a number of sequels, Rocky spawned Creed, a movie about Adonis Creed, the young son of Apollo Creed, one of Rocky's opponents in the ring. So Adonis is a kid with skills who aspires to boxing success and becomes Rocky's protege. And with rising stars Michael B. Jordan, and he plays Adonis, and Tessa Thompson as his pop star love interest, Creed scored and soared, and a new franchise was born. So, yeah, I don't know. Modern movie franchises can be like prestige serialized TV shows. You have to watch them all to really get the full effect. And in some cases, like the case of the Creed movies, the Rocky spin-offs about Adonis Creed need to be seen in order. Creed 1, Creed 2, and now the new one, or just don't bother. It's like the Marvel movies. If you aren't on board, why are you watching a movie that's like 10 films in? So anyway, the Crude films, including Creed 3, out in theaters today and directed in solid form by, of all people, Michael B. Jordan, continue the tale with a lot of interpersonal drama, including in this one the entry of a figure from the past who was connected to Adonis. And things can get a little soapy in these films. I mean, it's not quite One Fight to Live, but you get the idea. Lucky that the actors here are so damn good, giving this tale of a haunted past, betrayal, and triumph in the boxing world much of its punch. And yes, that's right. I said it. I said punch. I know. The story has overly familiar turns. Yeah, well, I can't stop myself, Kim. As Creed 3 kicks off, Creed, who unified all the world championship titles, has retired a winner to live the good life with his beautiful wife and their cute deaf daughter, while also mentoring other pro fighters. But he's pulled back into the ring when an old friend and amateur Gold Gloves champ who took a bad rap years ago is released from prison and wants his shot at the title. So who plays the old friend? None other than actor of the moment, Jonathan Majors. Just a few days after he made some serious scene-stealing noise as Kang the Conqueror in Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So is Majors' character a good guy or a bad guy here? Will he end up actually fighting Creed, who has given up the so-called sweet science for domestic life and his business interests? And wait a minute, Jordan played the villainous Killmonger in Marvel's Black Panther, and Majors is Kang the Conqueror. Are we going to see Killmonger versus Kang? No, well, that would be telling anyway. By the way, Thompson, who is, of course, back in Creed 3 as the champ's wife, plays the Valkyrie in Marvel movies. I mean, holy hammer of Thor, it's a full-on MCU reunion. To be fair, it's always a treat to watch the likes of Jordan, Thompson, and Majors do their thing, and this is no exception. Even when the familiar dramatic beats and sports movie tropes are trotted out, this charismatic trio breathes life into them, and the boxing matches are beautifully executed. Good going to director Jordan, his cinematographer, and the editor here. The familiarity can be a bit much, but the whole package is well executed, heartfelt, and when the gloves are on, exciting to watch. All right, it's no knockout like Creed or technical knockout like Creed 2, but Creed 3 manages to win on points. It's in theaters, so I give it a recommendation.
Okay, you recommend. I like Jordan, so I find his characters are always to be compelling, and there's something about his honest face that I like. So I don't know. I'm probably drawn toward him. I don't know if I'll see this movie, but I like that you recommend it. So that's
well.
Good.
If he's front and center, he is always reliable and always potent. And again, if you haven't seen Creed 1 and 2, why you don't even think about seeing Creed 3, okay?
Because you don't know the whole story, right?
Right. If you don't know the whole story, why even bother?
Don't do it. Operation Fortune. Yeah.
All right. Although Operation Fortune is gussied up with the highfalutin subtitle Ruse de Guerre, which is French for ruse of war. It's a boilerplate, meant to be comedic thriller with the sometimes sharp but inconsistent director and screenwriter Guy Ritchie at the helm, and the reliable, hard-hitting, no-nonsense anti-hero Jason Statham, who, by the way, starred in the recent and better Ritchie movie Wrath of Man, here as leading man, or should I say weapon, right? Well, you know, it's supposed to be an action film, but this new one is more like a haction film. I'm not saying that everyone but the stunt people phoned it in, but throughout Operation Fortune, I could swear I kept hearing a busy signal. Anyway, Statham is, get ready for this, Orson Fortune, international man of mystery. The real mystery is the plot here, wherein Fortune is tasked with stopping the shady sale of some new high-tech weaponry to the baddest of the baddies. Yeah. So Orson he recruits some entirely gratuitous helpmates, including a hunky Tom Cruise type Hollywood actor played by Josh Hartnett, and a computer whiz played by Aubrey Plaza that's right, Aubrey Plaza, to travel the world with him and thwart the villains. I think it was meant to be a comedy because a lot of it was ridiculously convoluted and unbelievable.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I mean, the often funny and definitely talented Plaza was cast as a supposedly glamorous quasi-love interest for Fortune. I guess Plaza as a sexy latter-day Bond girl is funny in a WTF way. I mean, I didn't even smirk once, honestly.
Oh.
Only Hugh Grant, who was outright tremendous in Ritchie's superior 2019 heist film, The Gentleman, brings joy and gets away with participating in this ho-hummer as the smug but stylish arms dealer brokering the super weapon sale. The action sequences are labored, as are the, quote, humorous, end quote, setups and dialogue. I watched Operation Fortune for Ritchie or poorer, and it turned out to be for poorer. It is in theaters, but it really, if anything, begged to be watched on like a streaming service or, cable. It's Operation Fortune.
Did you have to sit through the whole thing?
Yeah, no, I never leave. It's my mandate. It's my duty, my friend. So many weeks come along early in the year where there's not a lot to cover that's new, and I was able to catch up to something incredibly worthwhile, Women Talking, which I was never given an opportunity to see at the end of last year for awards and best of the year consideration, which is an absolute sin on the part of the publicist responsible, but we won't rake them over the coals. Instead, I just want to say that lean, smart, brilliantly acted, and significant in its subject and perspective, Women Talking is a winner. It was written and directed with skill and noble intent by the talented and thoughtful actress Sarah Polley. I admire all of her work, whether she's on screen or behind the camera. It's shot in a spare, utilitarian style that fits its script and purpose, which is to investigate the dilemma facing a group of women from a rural religious community.
I was going to say, they look pretty conservative with those dresses on the picture there.
Well, this is circa 2010, by the way. These unfortunate folk have been denied basic rights and freedoms by the men of the community, and too many of the women have been physically and sexually assaulted. So things reach a tipping point, and a select group of the women gather in secret to decide a course of action. Should they let things continue as before? Should they stay and fight for their rights and freedoms? Or should they flee with their children and try to build new lives elsewhere? The cast is superb, led by Claire Foy, from The Crown, seasons 1 and 2.
She's awesome.
Rooney Mara, Jessie Buckley, who is one of my movie sweethearts, Frances McDormand, Judith Ivey, and token male Ben Whishaw, and the issues at hand, the subjugation and subservience demanded of women in a society long dominated by men, and a woman's right to self-determination. They remain of paramount importance, even in the contemporary, purportedly egalitarian Western world we live in. Women Talking is absolutely worth watching. It's been playing in select theaters, and you can now rent it on the likes of Prime Video, Apple TV, and Vudu.
That sounds really interesting. You said you had so many words in there that were dingable. I'm going to give you one ding for all of them. What do you think?
You be you, Kim.
Okay. Oh, get a couple there. Okay, that's excellent. Oh, yeah, that was a total dingathon for sure.
Hey, ding me up, baby. Speaking of women and women's rights, a TV show that I was watching a year or so ago, maybe longer, on HBO, is finally wrapping up its first and probably only season, and it's a weird situation here. HBO Max is part of Warner, and Warner merged with Discovery, and the bean counter at Discovery is a jerk, clearly, who doesn't care about artistic notions or creativity, and he's been canceling shows because of bottom line issues. And rather than run the second half of this series on HBO, he has sold it off to Tubi, and you can only watch the rest of this TV program on Tubi or via Roku. It's called The Nevers, and it's a series about Victorian women and a few men, but mostly women, in London who are each given a specific metahuman ability when what appears to be this celestial event occurs.
Wait, what are meta-human abilities?
You know, like superpowers. I tried to not say superpowers, but you know that's kind of heavy-handed. But metahuman. Anyway, sometimes these powers, the results are hidden, and sometimes they're obvious and can make the recipient look a little on the freakish side or behave in a freakish manner. And in a few occasions, the power or circumstance makes these people dangerous or unhinged, and they become outcasts in proper circles in proper Victorian London. But a wealthy woman takes an interest in them, and a war of sorts begins to ramp up between the largely male aristocrats, industrialists, and politicians, and the so-called touch. The touched are, again, women for the most part. So you have people fearing them, trying to oppress them or destroy them. And then in the 6th episode of that first half of the series, things kind of go crazy in a wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey way. It's it's sci-fi, very engrossing and binge-worthy. And although the first 6 episodes were meted out as singles every Sunday on HBO and then available on HBO Max, the long-awaited final 6 episodes are released and collected in full on Tubi and via Roku. I thought The Nevers was definitely a trip that it will appeal to sci-fi fans, and also has, again, the subtext about women's rights.
Okay, so Tubi, you have to sit through the commercials, though, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe not on Roku. I don't know. Maybe Spectrum TV. I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's recap it. Creed, you got to see the Creed films in order, and if you do, you recommend Creed 3.
Yes.
Operation Fortune, they phoned it in. It's a nope for you. Lots of plot issues. It's a thumbs down, but you sat through it, and I'm impressed about that.
Oh, thank you.
Women Talking, total winner. You made me want to see that movie tonight, so thank you. And always looking for a new TV show to watch too. And you like The Nevers, which you said is on Tubi and HBO Max. Is that right?
No longer on HBO Max. That jerk from Discovery yanked it.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
Tubi, The Nevers.
If you have a Roku stick, you can watch it via Spectrum TV and other outlets, I think.
All right, Michael Snyder, thank you for all the great information and all the great reviews, as always. We appreciate you and love you. Hope you have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one yourselves.
Comes and goes on a rainbow.